what is the end goal of all this? Like to get rich, to make a living doing this, or
Well, welcome to the Indigenous Entrepreneurs Podcast. Today I have Mora with me from REDW, and we're going to be talking about what he does at REDW and then all things CPA and accounting, different topics on that. So if I could just have you introduce yourself and what you do, like what is REDW?
Of course, yeah. So thank you very much. I'm a accounting specialist manager at REDW. I do have my CPA license in the state of New Mexico, and my primary job focus is helping tribal organizations and business corporations get ready for their financial statement audits by helping reconcile their financial records to support helping them with new lease standards. That's a big one for this year, or any governmental accounting or financial accounting standards boards do standards. I help them implement, and I also help prepare financial statements on an annual basis for them. And I've been doing this work for about 4 years. And before that, I was a financial statement auditor where I audited tribal governments as well to, again, help them with their financial statement audits and single audits, which really helped them make sure that the federal government was making sure that money was spent appropriately and they kept getting money continuously year over year.
So what kinds of businesses do you guys work with at REDW?
Yeah, so REDW, we have a huge line of businesses. It's going to be tribal organizations. It's a huge chunk of our business. It's not over 50%, but we do focus on that. We do have a national tribal practice group that helps us stay connected with Indian country. We have a lot of commercial entities as well. That could be such as automotive dealerships, banks. Real estate is another big item for us. Personal taxes. We do business valuation for, again, mergers, acquisitions, partnerships, litigation services as well. So we have a huge firm of over 250 employees, again, that are focused on industries that you could think of that are affecting Indian country within New Mexico and across the country as well.
So do you work with like larger businesses or smaller businesses or a combination?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, we're about a medium-sized firm, so we do get exposed to large corporations and also large and small tribal organizations. So it is a very between. And myself, I deal with I do have some very large tribal organizations and then some smaller entities as well that only a few enrolled members and employees at the offices. So it varies. We have a great range of experience that could help any type of entity.
And so like tribal enterprise, I know you guys work with tribal enterprise. Do you also work with like individual owned businesses?
Yeah, that's a great topic. So yes, we do. It's again, that could be in any one of our service industries that we have, just depending on the type of service that you need. My work is primarily more for larger organizations, but again, we have financial analysts. Another big thing is we have the wealth management. So that would be for like your entrepreneurs that are getting started and they're trying to set up goals for 5 years, 10 years, trying to create business plans and how to create capital for those goals as well. So it varies just based on what you want to get accomplished. And so we help small businesses, large businesses, and individuals as well.
Okay. So before I get into like the other questions that I have, I'm just curious what got you into accounting? Like why did you pursue that path?
Yeah, accounting is going into high school or going into college, I didn't know what accounting was. Obviously, you have to run a business, account your money somehow, but I had no idea what accounting was. I was always in love with math. I just thought it was, simple formulas, theory type stuff. And what really did it for me was a college professor. I think just exposing myself to different classes and professors and just not being stuck narrow-minded and I'm going to do marketing, which was my original bachelor's degree goal. But getting exposed to different experiences like that, the professor was just he made the class very fun, and I just always said I loved money, loved counting it. So it went hand in hand with it. So it was really, I think, one professor that really did it for me. And my family had owned a business. Actually, it was my grandfather owned a business on the Navajo Nation 50 years ago, and so I've just always been exposed to that lifestyle. So yeah, accounting, business, and math. It was the perfect triangle for me to go into.
Oh, that's awesome. I bet you learned a lot from your grandfather and just like watching him run his business on the Navajo Nation. That's awesome.
Yeah, it did. Unfortunately, it was my auntie that ran the whole business. My grandfather passed away when I was a young kid, so I never got to really meet him. But my auntie and my other aunts that helped run it, they're the ones that showed me what dedication really is, because they had to wake up at 5 o'clock. Because we owned a grocery store, a laundromat, and a gas station. So my aunties would wake up at 5 o'clock, 4:30 in the mornings each day, and open up the stores, get it ready for the employees, and go. And they'd work till 8:30 at night when we closed. So that showed me what dedication really is and how to stay determined in your life.
Awesome. Well, so the first question that I'm gonna ask, like about what you do professionally, is what is a CPA? Because this is something even I didn't really know or understand until recently.
Yeah, that's a great question. So something I wrote down is that a CPA is an accountant, but not every accountant is a CPA, right? So, what that means is that accountants, without their CPA license, they do great services. They're very well educated to help a business. But with a CPA designation, each state has their own license that they grant to individuals based off of, it's 150 credit hours that you have to take for college, with a basis in accounting and business. And on top of that, you have to take a pretty rigorous 4-part exam. And, that evolves over time and is about to change this upcoming year as well, because, again, things just change. But it's a long, rigorous exam. It takes about a year. And on top of that, once you pass that, you also have to take what's called continuing professional education to maintain your standards, to stay up to par on everything, and making sure that you're serving your client to the best of your abilities. The other thing with a CPA is that because it is a license that's issued by a state government agency, and with that, you also have a fiduciary duty to your client, meaning that you have to be responsible and be looking out for them at all times. Whereas again, an accountant should be doing that, but they don't have a legal obligation like a CPA does, since CPAs have their license. So, again, there's not too much different to say from a CPA than an accountant. Again, both are very well educated, but the CPA allows you to do a few more things. Allows you to sign off on audited financial statements, a little bit more with tax reporting as well. It just opens a lot more doors for what a CPA can be able to do for you in your business. And again, maybe a CPA isn't always what's needed for your business. It depends on what you're trying to accomplish and the future of your company.
Yeah. So kind of touching on that, when should a business decide to just get a bookkeeper or an accountant for their business, and when might it be a good idea for them to look into hiring a CPA?
So this should be started at the very beginning of your business plan and the implementation of your business. Part of that is because of how you want to set up your entity as well. You have your sole proprietorship, partnerships, C corps, S corps. There's quite a few others that are in there that the IRS has determined, and each of those is going to be a different tax situation based on how you pay taxes, how much you owe, or is it what the business is going to pay. There's also a difference in litigation opportunities too. With the C corp, that's your normal corporation. If there's litigation in your business, that may be more handled with just on the C corp. Whereas if with sole proprietorship, you might be on the hook for all of the liabilities that are found of the corporation. I'm sorry, of the sole proprietorship. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of things that you have to take in at the business start of the implementation. So that's one thing to be looking at. Also, too, just for general bookkeeping, you can't just go into a business and not keep track of your expenses, right? You have to be able to determine, all right, this is a proper business expense and this is a personal expense that I incurred while trying to perform my business. Maybe I got a few sodas while driving to a
Yeah.
meeting. That might not be
A business.
exactly, but maybe gas that
Yeah.
you spend there. So that's a big thing that you want to make sure that you're getting a good understanding of, because then if you don't set up a good basis, your financial reporting later down the road is going to be
A mess.
exactly, and it's going to take even more money to fix, and where you could have spent that investment up front.
Yeah.
So, getting a CPA or an accountant is really an investment for you and your business. Because again, you don't want to face costs or risks, liabilities in the future because you didn't plan appropriately. So there's so much stuff that they could do. The bookkeeping, helping you set a budget as well. You don't want to start a business without that, because you may just go down under right away.
Yeah.
There's quite a few other things, especially I think the biggest thing is the structure. Is helping you figure that out. Also, with helping raise capital too, you need to be able to make sure that you could produce those records. So you want to have somebody that's there right away that could keep track, because you don't want to do a whole year of business, have your receipts all over the place, and then throw that at your accountant. All right, here you go. Here's everything from the past year. Work with it and give me what you got later.
So work with them more regularly.
Exactly. Yeah. Constant communication. Maybe not a phone call every hour, every day, but following up on things, and especially if you're going to have payroll too. Employees, you got to make sure that your taxes are paid for the payroll, submitted to the federal government, to the state. There's a whole lot that you should be thinking about.
Yeah. So, in our experience with the entrepreneurs that we work with, I think accounting and taxes are literally the most intimidating topic when it comes to starting your own business. Do you have any advice for people starting off who maybe they don't have like the funds to hire an accountant or a bookkeeper off the get-go? Like how should they just go about starting to get just that basic bookkeeping, basic accounting set up so that it's not just like all over the place?
Right. So, like you said, it is an investment with an accountant up front. And, to kind of get started on your own, maybe, looking into accounting systems or accounting software such as QuickBooks may be a great start to go. There are other softwares out there, but at least that gives you kind of a basis where they'll probably give you a walkthrough of, all right, these are, an asset, your cash, your inventory, your liabilities. There's also great programs that universities can hold. I mean, because accounting's not everyone's not going to know that, and you have to learn somehow. There are some universities that offer short classes, mini semesters, I think they may call them, where you could sign up for business entrepreneurs to kind of learn some accounting. There's that, and there are also workshops that you could sign up with I believe like Becker. That's one of the CPA companies I did my CPA studying with. But there are going to be online tools, and I think it's basically it is very intimidating. But a simple website like Investopedia is great, because again, could walk you through, all right, what's an asset, a liability, what's your equity, line of credit. That gives you at least basic definitions to be looking for. So I think somewhere right there is a great starting point. Just to get a little bit of research done prior.
Yeah, and there's also programs just for people listening. Like I know the SBDC has like accounting and QuickBooks courses. One of our tribal liaisons, Micahel, does financial literacy training. She can walk people through like basic bookkeeping. But I do think that there comes a point with a business, like maybe you're starting off and QuickBooks is like you can use QuickBooks, you can manage your own finances, but if you're trying to grow and scale, there does come a point where you probably want to consider hiring an accountant or a bookkeeper or a CPA. So when should a business start working with one if they didn't start off right away working with a CPA or an accountant?
One of the first ways I could think of that is when you're trying to acquire some capital or a loan from from a bank, because that's when they're going to want to be able to see your financial statements to see, all right, so yes, we know you need $50,000 for a new building so you could start manufacturing your bracelets and have a team of people that help out with that. That's a very first thing I could think of, is helping with that, because then the accountant can help you, start your budgeting as well, to meaning like your forecast flows. All right, this year we brought in an excess of $20,000 of free cash flow. All right, well, since that's all free cash flow, that's not spent for the operations, we could show this to the bank, like, all right, over the next year, we have $20,000 we could easily pay you back with. Then with this loan that you're getting, it'll help us generate another extra $50,000 of free cash flows. And so that helps pay off even more of the loan. So that's a big area I could think of, is when you're trying to expand your business and with acquiring capital. That's a great way to go about it. The tax payments, of course, too. That's a huge thing. Is that not every business may have to pay taxes at first, but there may be an instance where you get audited by the IRS, and that could be a scary situation. I mean, it could be easy, it could be hard. It just depends on how good your bookkeeping is. That's a big thing. Is again, if you don't have your accountant, just keep things in order before you get an accountant. Because then again, so you don't want to just throw a bunch of receipts, like I said before. Other instances, man, there's just so.
Like if they're wanting to scale, maybe that would be a good time.
Yeah, exactly. Scale, and then it's not, when you own a business, it's not just a one-person operation, right? You're going to need to have all that supporting cast, and it might come to a situation where you don't need just one accountant as well too. You may need several. And it just depends on what your needs are and where you're trying to grow.
Yeah, I think kind of one of the challenges that the business owners we talk to is, especially when you're starting your business, you're wearing all the hats. So you have like 12 different roles because you are your business. But I think it is good to, kind of mention that it's okay to hand off certain things to someone else, like a bookkeeper or marketing. That way you can focus on your craft or on your business and what you're good at, and then give someone else the tasks that they're good at. And I know it's hard because you're like, oh, I'm spending money on this, but at the end of the day, your time is worth that investment.
Yeah, exactly. I just went through a recent training of being able to delegate to others, because it's the first thing, if we think, oh, this task is only going to take me 30 minutes, whereas if I have my assistant do it, it's going to be an extra, maybe 30 minutes of me explaining it, 30 minutes to an hour of explaining it. They're going to take an hour and a half to 2 hours to perform this task. So that's, an hour of my time, 2 hours of their time. Money is time, time is money. That's what one of my principals always told us. But, again, that's just an investment, because 6 months from now,
they'll be able to do it.
Yeah, you may have saved, I think it may calculate to 9 hours of your or 9 days of your time that now you're free, because they now know how to do that.
Yeah.
Task.
So it's like that initial investment up front pays off long term.
Exactly. But I think it also goes back to understanding a business as a whole too, and what parts of that business you need an accountant for, because again, you don't want to just bite off a big chunk too big and then try to pass it off later. You want to be able to assess that early.
So kind of touching on what you were talking about earlier about S Corp, C Corp's business structure. Can you explain that a little bit more, and then also explain why should small businesses officially incorporate? Because a lot of times, especially when it comes to tribal entrepreneurs, they're like, well, I'm just running it off the reservation. Why do I need to officially incorporate? Then I have to pay taxes. They don't really see potential benefits of that. So could you kind of elaborate?
Of course. Yeah. So again, this is something a normal accountant can help you out with. But with a CPA, CPAs are exposed to, where a CPA will work is public accounting. That's your accounting firms that I work with REDW, REDW. Then you have corporate governing, corporate accounting. So that might be working for Intel, CFO, controller. Then you also have your government services, tribal organization, municipality, city of Albuquerque. So, you have those three basic sectors that a CPA can work in. And, the great thing about a CPA is in that accounting firm, though, if they have experience, they're exposed to so many different industries, so many different business organizations that's where they accumulate all of that experience to help a business out. Whereas an accountant, again, they have great experience, but maybe they worked with one company for 10 years, 15 years. And so, they've learned a lot during their experiences, but they only know that company and how it operates. So a way a CPA can come in to help out with assessing what type of organization to start up is, explaining, a sole proprietorship. That's going to be, if you were to own your own business, it was yourself, you had no partner, and basically all of the obligations, assets, they're going to be under your name, essentially. So again, if you have unfortunately, if there's any litigation that doesn't go your way, or, if you have a huge liability that the business faces, you're going to be on the hook for that. And it could affect your credit if you don't ever pay it back, or, affect future financing. So, sole proprietorship, that's the easiest way to set up a business. And, that's the most common too, probably when you're starting up. And you can always change your business type as you progress. But a sole proprietorship is probably the most basic startup, again, when you're going into business with yourself. Then the next step is going to be your partnerships. So you and I, if we go into a business creating bracelets, jewelry, and you and I are partners within it, in that case, again, we got to establish, all right, you get 60% of the profits, I get 40%, and you get more because, you're CEO, you're managing day-to-day operations, and then me, I show up maybe 3 days out of the week to help with watching the accounting records or managing people. You want to establish that early, because then, again, that's going to establish, all right, how much money you get, how much money I get, and also the liabilities. You pay 60% of the liabilities, I pay 40% of whatever happens. But in that instance, though, it's sort of like a sole proprietorship, again, where unfortunately there's monies that we have to pay out of our pockets. Mm-hmm. So, again, that is another easy form of business to start. But then the next part is you have your C Corps, which are your normal corporations. Those are the ones that get traded on the stock markets and that don't get traded on the stock markets. Again, they could be small businesses, jewelry run, bakeries, anything like that. And the benefits of a C Corp is you do get that protection legally, where the C Corp is the one that's, more legally obligated for those liabilities that may incur. So it's stuck with that corporation. Not to say that you could do anything wrong or anything bad with that business and you're off the hook, but it's limited to that. And depending on what you did, maybe it'll go back to the owner.
It separates your personal finances from your business.
Exactly. And then on top of that, there's different ways that you get taxed on that. So sole proprietorship, again, like liabilities, everything flows to you. So that means that all the profits from the business flow through you. So let's say you had, $200,000 of revenue, $150,000 of expenses throughout the year. So you net $50,000 in profit. Well, you have to report that $50,000 on your 1040 that you submit to the IRS. It's a separate schedule you have to fill out for your business. I think it's a Schedule C that you have to fill out with all the revenues, expenditures, and different business expenses that you have. And you're on the hook for that. So, you have to be saving money diligently or even making quarterly payments. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing with a sole proprietorship. Same thing with a partnership. You're going to get taxed the same way. It's going to get reported on your 1040. And then the C Corp, again, that corporation is what gets taxed on its own. And then the only monies that you would get taxed on is your potential dividends that you receive from the company. So, then that would be less than your payroll or whatever, however you work it out. There's also S Corps. There's a whole lot more that could get in there, but those are the three primary that you'll see are the sole proprietorship, partnership, and C Corps.
What about LLCs?
Yeah, LLCs are another one, which is a limited liability corporation, and that's going to be, I think, basically between your partnership and your C corp. So again, I believe it's similar to the partnership, but you have that separation, though similar to a corporation. And yeah, there could be so many other types that go into it as well that have different reporting for taxes.
So basically, like, one of the benefits is, first of all, officially incorporating as like a LLC or C corp separates your personal finances from your business finances. And then also legally, if a business is just kind of doing business as a sole proprietorship or like not officially incorporated, officially incorporating opens up that potential for your business to expand or scale or like go very over my head even and so stuff like that. It's like the legal part I think is also a benefit. But
yes, it could definitely benefit. Again, depending on what you're trying to accomplish with the business. But yeah, there could definitely be benefits.
This accounting world, could they come talk to you? Like, are there any resources that they can go get a consultation with a CPA or a bookkeeper? Like, how should someone, like, let's say they're listening and they're like, oh my gosh, I need to like figure this out, but I don't know how to start or where to go. What could be that first step for them to take to start finding a CPA?
Yeah, that's gonna be a lot of work to go into because again, you want to find the right fit of who's going to be able to help my business the best, and then also can they help my business in the right state? Because one thing I forgot to mention earlier with a CPA, you got to make sure that they're licensed in the state that you're working with. Because again, each state has their own requirements to maintain that CPA and also to get the CPA license. So that's one thing you want to make sure too is make sure you're looking in the right state for that help. Whereas an accountant, normal accountant can help you from any state, essentially. But in terms of starting to look for resources at the very preliminary stages, because it is very intimidating. It definitely is, because at first you don't even know what you need. Because how are you supposed to look for something that you don't even know you need? And our firm, again, we have a lot of different industries and services that we offer. So it is just worth a shot. All right, let me do a Google search, or let me talk to people in my social network that have references as well. Because again, you want to find someone that's vetted and that knows your industry as well. But it could be as simple as calling our firm, REDW, and then we also have a link on our website, where it's just a inquiry basically saying, hi, my name is such and such from whatever company or organization. I have these general questions of being able to get startups. I have these accounting questions. We even have people email us on that for opportunities with board positions. Just again because they know that we have a wide range of experience. So just a quick call like that can get you into the right order. But I know even organizations like yours are trying to create a system for these entrepreneurs to reach out to, because there's not a lot of money that could be expended as well. So just having that quick 30-minute coaching session of, all right, this is your basic accounting structure that you need to be on the lookout for. And so I know that your organization is really striving to get those contacts to be able to assist with that. And I think it's more of an emerging setting for that, because I don't think it's really been established so much in the past, because now that we do have so many more tribal entrepreneurs that can actually see themselves creating their own business, I think there's just a different outlook, and that hasn't really, unfortunately, it is barely getting caught up to it right now. So it is being worked on. Organizations such as the American Indian Chamber of Commerce of New Mexico that you're associated with as well. Those are great places to start looking for as well, and networking with, again, people that are working in Indian country. Because again, it's all about social networking these days. So those organizations are a great place to start out as well.
Yeah, and I will mention that one benefit of working with REDW is that you do work with tribes, so you have that extra expertise, because it's one thing, CPAs who just work off of the reservation, they don't understand some of the intricacies that come with working on the reservation and with tribes. So I think you guys are a unique resource, and I'm one of our hopes is that more CPAs will be trained, Native American CPAs, to understand, kind of some of the nuances that come with running a business on the reservation. But yeah, it is. I think you're right. It is kind of an emerging resource or topic. But one thing that, like, one of our liaisons came to me with, like, he asked, he's like, who's a CPA that I can refer someone to? He didn't even know, and he has his business is scaled and scaling, like it's growing. And he was like, do I just refer them to, like, I can't remember, the H&R Block or something, and and we're like, I don't know if that's the best route to go, so even these experienced entrepreneurs are just like, where do I go? So I think having conversations like this and just informing people about potential contacts or organizations where they can go to for more information or to get connected to someone with more information is really important, especially when it comes to supporting our tribal entrepreneurs. So thank you for doing this and for coming to speak with me. I think one last thing that I would like to ask is just any parting thoughts, about how a CPA or an accountant can help someone's small business. And then just, you already kind of touched on this, but important factors to consider when hiring a CPA.
Yeah, and one of the biggest things is taking that stress off of you. Worrying about your books. I mean, yes, you have to worry about your books, making sure you're generating revenue, cover your expenses, and continue thriving. But that's just one less stress that you have to deal with, knowing that you have someone experienced. And again, if the CPA has that fiduciary duty of they're looking out for your best interest. And again, not saying a normal accountant's not going to do that. Again, the CPA has that legal fiduciary duty to represent you in the best manner that they can. So it's that's the biggest thing, is that the stress relief at the beginning, and then again at the future, if you go through a financial statement audit, an IRS audit, that that you have someone that's respected in the firm or in the industry that has your back. So the stress level reducing is going to be the biggest thing. And then there with the CPA, with that accounting experience, you get to learn about a whole business. Again, you get exposed to several industries, organizations, but you get a look at the whole organization as a whole. You're not just looking at one specific aspect of the business. It's not just sales, it's not just manufacturing, but you see the whole
picture.
Exactly. So at least when you're starting up, that's what they can help you out with, is kind of paint that picture for you of like, all right, this is what your business may look like with what you're trying to achieve or what your goals are looking like. So yeah, they'll paint that financial picture for you and what you need. Also, processes when you're starting a new business. All right, how are we going to handle payroll? Is that going to be every 2 weeks? How are we going to make sure taxes are paid properly? Because that, again, keep bringing up taxes, because you don't never want an extra audit or be found liable for extra thousands of dollars due to penalties and interest. So yeah,
it's just good to have someone with that knowledge who can keep you on the right course.
Exactly.
Versus like having to learn all of that yourself, when you're already trying to run a business and do whatever you're doing.
Yeah, they could help at least set your financial path for the business and help you focus, make you allowed to focus on getting there instead of always just worrying about the money.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you again for this conversation and for the knowledge that you shared with me and the people listening. I'd probably like to have you on again because I think this is just such an important and needed topic. But if anyone wants to reach out to you or REDW, how can they connect in? I know you guys also have some educational videos on your website, so how can people reach out to learn more?
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, we do offer our own podcasts as well that are aimed for it's not just a specific person or specific job type, but it's aimed for tribal entrepreneurs, also leaders of tribal governments, organizations, and in those podcasts we do talk a lot about accounting related stuff. Leases, that's a big issue. I should say issue, but a new accounting standard that's been around for the past year that businesses and corporations, government agencies have been having to adjust their financial statements for. Um, let's see, there's HR consulting, how to assess for, if you have proper wages for your employees. So, there's different podcast articles that go along with that as well. We do have a national tribal practice page on our website as well that, again, helps dictate or helps provide information on who we serve, what we're doing for those communities, and also the outreach that we perform. My email address is just michael.mora@redw.com. Emails can be sent to that, and then we also have an inquiry page on our website with just general inquiries about how can we help your business out as well. And so that's an easy way to get started with again, not necessarily just with our firm, but figuring out, all right, these are maybe items that you need.
Yeah, and I'll link all of that on the description for the video and the podcast so people can check that out. But thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully we'll get you on here again.
Of course, thank you.